Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm here with another reading wrap up, this time for March and my April TBR. March was a little bit of a weird month. I feel like I did not get through very many of the books that I intended to get through, but I read quite a few books through Libby, so it kind of balanced out a little bit. I started off the month working on my Harry Potter reading vlog where I read the whole Harry Potter series for the first time. There's a part 1 and part 2. I will link it somewhere up above if you are interested in. Those are full spoiler videos though, so I thought I'd talk about the book still in a non-spoiler way here. But I started the month by finishing Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This one's book 6. I really enjoyed the second half of this series, I think more than the first half. I got to the part where I didn't remember as much from the movies, and that really upped my enjoyment, which I think basically just means that these are plots that are good, but maybe not something that I'm obsessed with as a repeat. I'm not the hugest person into watching the movies a lot of times. My husband loves to watch them, like those are his comfort movies. I just don't quite have the draw to them that I feel like a lot of other people do. I personally enjoy Fantastic Beasts more, but this one is a good one. We get into some of the darker themes in this book. I gave it 4 stars. An enjoyable good time. If you haven't ever read Harry Potter, like, give it a try. But I don't know that I am on the level of love that people have for this if you have like nostalgia to fuel you. And then I also read the final book in this series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Very similar thoughts on this one. Of the series, this was my favorite. It gets the most intense on the plot. It was the one that I remembered the absolute least about from the movies. And yeah, it wraps up pretty well. Like, I don't know that I have any issues with how the series ends. I think it was good. And really that's my thoughts. Like, Harry Potter's good. I don't know that I'm going to be raving about it. I don't know that I will be rereading it unless it's like in the future to my children. And then we get into the part of the month where I mostly just finished audiobooks. Honestly, I just had a really busy month this month and I didn't read that much. But Harry Potter is huge, so that also put me back. But I got a new release. This is one of my most anticipated new releases of the year, and this is A Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. It is her latest horror book set in, what's the era? The 1890s? Almost 1900s, and you're following this woman who is a scientific illustrator who's just gotten a new job with this like professor doctor guy, and he studies bugs, and she's gotten hired to illustrate bugs for his book. And she starts to stumble upon some really weird things that are going on at this estate, specifically surrounding her predecessor and things in the woods. I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one a 4.5 stars. T. Kingfisher's horrors don't always hit quite as well for me, but I really enjoyed this one. I think the historical setting really made it for me. I haven't quite put my finger on why I feel like her horror just doesn't do quite as well for me, but this one I did really enjoy. I gave it 4.5 stars. It has just like a great setting. I will say there are a lot of really gross things. Like, if you can't handle bugs, this was a book that I couldn't read while eating because there was some really nasty things happening in it involving like parasitic bugs. Very nasty, gross stuff, but it was written very well. I enjoyed the characters. I feel like this maybe, really the reason I don't think it quite hit a 5-star for me is it was missing a little bit of her like humor. Like, it was there-ish, but it didn't have like the punchiness that her humor normally has in her books. And because of that, I felt like the characters just didn't quite pop like I normally would expect from a T. Kingfisher book. But I did really enjoy it. I read it quite quickly. I had a great time. And then I had a couple audiobooks that I finished while I was doing some driving around and packing and stuff like that. First one, very random, but I listened to Poison for Breakfast by Lemony Snicket. I don't know that I've ever heard anything about this book, honestly, but if you like his writing style, you should listen to Poison for Breakfast. Read it. I recommend listening to it because it is narrated by, oh, what's his name? It is narrated by Patrick Warburton. however you say his name. If you've seen the Series of Unfortunate Events TV show, he's like the narrator character. He is also the voice of Kronk in Emperor's New Groove, so it's just a really great narrator, so would recommend the audiobook. This book was odd. It's only like a 3-hour audiobook, so nice and short, and it's sort of a mystery, sort of a book of philosophy, but mostly just an experiment in Lemony Snicket's writing. And like, that's what you're there for more than anything that's happening in the book. You're there for his very unique style of writing, and I don't know, it's just so fun how he just like defines words within his writing, and he references all sorts of things to the point where you can't tell what is real and what's not in the book, which is fun. But then at the end of the book, there's an author's note where he goes and like breaks down each chapter and what he was referencing, if it was a real thing. So could find lots of other reading material from this book because he references so many other things. But yeah, I don't know that I can say much more about this book without spoiling things, but if you're looking for just a short, fun audiobook, try Poison for Breakfast. And then I continued a series that I've been working my way through for a while. This is The Physicians of Vilnock. It is book 8 in the Penric and Desdemona series by Lois McMaster Bujold. This is a series about a guy who gets accidentally possessed by a demon and goes on all sorts of adventures. It is a series of novellas set in a larger world. I've never read the main series and I really need to, but I've been thoroughly enjoying the Penric series. This one started off a little jarring for me, honestly, because I feel like there was a big time jump. And maybe it gets filled in. Sometimes the like publication order is not chronological, and so it's possible that I've just like, I'll get to a later book and it'll fill things in, but I won't say what because I feel like that's spoilers. But there was something that happened at the beginning of the book, this book, that had me going and checking to see if I'd missed one, but I didn't. This is the correct order. This one, the town that he's in has this breakout of this disease that nobody knows how to deal with it, and so he's kind of experimenting with his healing abilities with his demon. It's a good one. It wasn't my favorite of the series, but I still had a good time. I enjoy them. If you're looking for some novellas, try Penric and Desdemona. And then I finished my last physical book of the month, and that was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. This one I am reading for an upcoming video, which will be out, I don't know, mid-April. I'm working on reading some books for my Around the World in Books challenge, and this one was one. 5 stars. Can you give it anything other than that? The first part of this book is very classic World War II novel, and then the second half of it gets much more in depth on his like research and therapy, and more like a scientific book, which I actually found that part more interesting to read. Not to discount anything that happens in the first part of the book, but I think the part that probably has gotten it so much attention and become such like a everybody needs to read this is probably the second part, where he talks about his therapy and stuff. I will have more in-depth thoughts coming in that video later in April, so keep your eye out for that. And then the final book that I finished was another very short audiobook. It was kind of the trend of the month. But this is The Boy Who Didn't Come Home by Melissa Albert. This is the novella that goes in between the Hazelwood duology. So it goes in like the middle, it's 1.5. This one was a little disappointing for me. I gave it 3 stars. The description in Goodreads is not accurate. So there's a part at the end of the Hazelwood where our 2 main characters kind of part ways, and there's a little bit of a time jump, and you kind of follow one character, but you don't know what happened in that time jump to the other character. And the description in Goodreads makes it sound like this book is going to cover that gap of time. That is not what this book is. This book is the other character's point of view of stuff that we already covered in the book, which was less fun. I was really hoping it would be like some new content. We'd see something that we didn't already see in the first book. I gave it 3 stars. It was still a good read. It'd be great if you like read the Hazelwood forever ago and you want to just like a little crash course refresher before you went into the second book. It'd be perfect for that. As far as new content, it didn't have any. Like, it ends at the same point that the Hazelwood, well, ends before the Hazelwood ends. So a little bit disappointed in that one, but still had a good time. I will hopefully be reading the second book in that duology relatively soon. So that is everything that I read in March. Not my best reading month, but I still had a few really good books that I enjoyed. Moving into April, I have a very ambitious TBR again. What's new? We'll see how much of it I can get through, but we're gonna talk about those books next. The first book is one that I am currently reading. This is Lucky Purr by Henrik Pontop. Okay, I looked up how to say this a while ago. Pontoppidan? Could be wrong. This one is another one for that Around the World in Books video. It is kind of like a classic book, which means it's really hard to explain what the plot is, but you're basically following this guy named Lucky Purr throughout his whole life. And that's kind of the plot. And then the other books that I have for that video are The Thief Lord by Cornelia Funk. I'm waiting on the audiobook. I think I'm gonna try and listen to this one, but we'll see if it comes through soon enough. And then my final pick is Death Has a Thousand Doors by Patricia W. Gray. So those will all be in a video, hopefully coming out mid-April. Those will be the first things that I'm tackling in this month. And then one book that was on my March TBR that I just didn't quite get to, but I still really want to read soon, is the second book of Fablehaven, Rise of the Evening Star. Working my way through this series slowly but surely. I'm not filming a video about these. My reactions to the first one was in my husband's Chooses My Reads video. So I don't know, it just feels a little funny to make this part of my reading popular series for the first time series of videos when I read the first book in a different video. I really enjoyed it. Want to get to the second book this month. We already talked about A Tea Kingfisher. I have another one I want to read in April. This is Nine Goblins. It's a nice little tiny one. I'm very excited about it. I think this will be the perfect pick-me-up amidst all of the really heavy, kind of intenser books that I have this month. Mostly being my Around the World in Books, and then I have one more that I'll talk about in a minute that are gonna be definitely some hefty reads, and so I wanted something that was a fun pick me up. And then I have a couple books that are on my spring TBR. Technically Fablehaven is too, but these are my other spring TBR books that I picked. First one is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. I have never read a Holly Black book before, and this one is about this girl and her brother who live in a town where there is a fairy? What are we calling him? Folk prince that is in a glass coffin, very Snow White vibes, and then he wakes up and something happens from there. I'm very excited. I think that that one will be one I really enjoy. The next book is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This one has been on my shelves for quite some time, and so I really need to read it. I've been loving the Temeraire series by her, and I want to read another book that's not part of that series by the same author, so Uprooted is going to be happening. And then the last one that I pulled from my spring TBR is actually going to be an audiobook, and this is The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, which is very confusing. I'm not 100% sure what it's about. I believe it's based in Welsh folklore, and there's something to do with like magic disappearing and then trying to save magic and princes and this competition, and one of them pairs up with a hedge witch. That's as much as I've got. It sounds fun. The cover is beautiful, so I'm gonna give that one a try. It feels like a great spring book. And then the other book that I had that is gonna be a little bit heavier, I'm actually hoping to start soon, and that is The Robe by Lloyd C. Douglas. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I've read it twice now, so this will be my third time, and I finally found a copy that I want to annotate. I have another copy of this book that is like a really cool old one, and I didn't want to mark that one up. So I found a copy, I want to annotate it, and this just feels like the perfect Easter book, so I want to read it right at the beginning of April. I will be trying to start this probably this weekend so that I'm like reading it for Easter weekend. This one is a historical fiction book about one of the soldiers who crucified Christ and how that affected his life, and it's very good. I highly recommend if you like historical fiction at all. There's a lot of really interesting things in here, commentating on like slavery and the Roman Empire and all sorts of things. It's a very fascinating book with a lot of really good quotes, lots of discussion about like PTSD and depression and those kinds of things. And then the final book, this one's like maybe on my TBR if I can manage to somehow get through all of that, which is already a lot. I would love to start Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Definitely not going to be finished in April. Like I already know, but I'm hoping to start it. This is a book in the Cosmere. It is, honestly, I don't really know what it's about. It's something to do with two sisters, maybe. One of them has been betrothed to someone, and then something happens with that. I don't really know. I feel like there's something about a sword and colors, and I've just gotten bits and pieces. I don't really know how to describe Brandon Sanderson books, but I've been working my way through the Stormlight Archive, and my husband, who has read pretty much the whole Cosmere at this point, has informed me that he thinks I should read Warbreaker before I go into Oathbringer, the third book. So I'm going to follow his reading order that he suggested. I don't know if that's actually the best way to do it, but I'm gonna take his word for it, and I want to read this before I jump into Oathbringer, but I don't want to take so long to read Oathbringer. I read the second book in like August, so it's been a minute already. I need to get to it quicker than that because I keep forgetting things, and so I need to get going on this one so that I can finish it and then get into Oathbringer. So I'm hoping to start this in April, finish it in May. If I could finish it in April, that'd be amazing, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And then maybe I can jump into Oathbringer like end of May, June. So that is my very, very ambitious April TBR. Let me know what books you read, if there's anything that you found that was an awesome new book from the month of March, what you plan on reading in April. I am always open to recommendations, even though I have a never-ending TBR as it is. I'm still always open, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.